All right, wonderful. Today I thought I would revisit the topic of anger. I had remembered years ago that I did a video that was titled Stay Angry. I don't think it's up anymore. I think it's one of the ones that I got rid of. And consequently, I'm going to be going through my channel soon and getting rid of some other older videos because, well, it's necessary. Oh, now you're kicking off. Now that I've gone live, you're kicking off. Go figure. I thought it would be good, though, to revisit this topic and give more insight about anger. Now, obviously, at the time that I did that video, I was angry. I was in my anger regularly, and I felt that it was a source of energy and focus and drive, and that it kept me going. And it was delusional because what it was really doing was destroying me from the inside out, physically and emotionally and spiritually. It zapped me completely. And that anger, it's no wonder, I think, in many ways, that I developed a lot of the health conditions I did because I was so full of rage and anger and just fire. It's like no wonder that everything inside of me lit up and became inflamed. That anger is really deadly and poisonous to the body to hold on to for a long time. And when it's all it's hard to let go of. It's hard to be okay with letting go of it because you feel such an identification with it. You start to see it as part of who you are. Your ego doesn't want to let go of this emotion, which you feel rightly or wrongly, mainly wrongly, is keeping you going, is keeping you alive, is keeping you afloat, is providing meaning to your life, even. Um, I see this so much in so many people. They're so driven by their anger, they don't even know it. And the problem with anger is that it's an emotion, and people who are in their feelings and in their emotions do not act rationally, and they make a lot of mistakes and usually make fools of themselves, myself included. So, hello, Seth. If you're watching, leave a comment, say hello. Don't forget to like the video while we're here. It's always important to like the lives. It helps get that boosted out, sent to people who are, on notifications. So it's always good to like the video. But anyway, the anger piece. Yeah. Anger is, well, for one, it's inflammatory, like I said. And it really eats away at you. It really just burns a hole in you because it's one of those really hot emotions. It's all it can do. And it can make you sick, and it can make you really just, like I said, irrational. And for what? What does holding on to the anger do for you, really, in the long run, other than make you sick and make you worse? The problem with people is that they don't really understand that an emotion is a tool, but it is not a place to be stuck in, and it's not something that you need to act from. And the more you get control of your emotions, the more you begin to recognize them and not identify with them, the more power you have. The problem is, regardless of what the emotions are, so many people see their emotional body as being their self, and it isn't. You are not the feelings you're having, and you are not the emotions you feel, and you're not the thoughts you're having. These things are just experiences that you are having, but the real you exists outside of that. You are the being that is experiencing that. And when you really start to absorb that message and you really start to see that, you can stop identifying with those emotions and letting them control your life. So Canned Kitty says, "Oh, honey, the dark elements of my life continue to haunt me." Well, do you care to share more about what you mean? We can talk about it here, I hope, if you're comfortable with that. We all have different dark elements in our lives. And sometimes it's hard to let go of the past. But that's another thing, too, I wanted to discuss. The past isn't real. The past is another place where people get stuck. They get stuck in their thoughts, reliving the past, going over things. And it doesn't exist anymore. It's not all that you're experiencing is a one-sided memory of something that happened. Supposedly, it's just a story that you're telling yourself. And what happens when you get stuck in the past and you get stuck in your emotional feelings about the past is that you don't progress in life. And when you start to think thoughts, you have a memory come up, you can't dwell there. Sometimes a memory comes up to show us something, but a lot of people are so attached to their darkness. They are so attached to that identification that they can't let it go. They have to ruminate on it. They have to go over it again and again in their minds. And it's the same with anger. Anger is another one of those things that people will carry anger from years past into the present, and they'll use that to motivate them, but they're seeing the world through the eyes of anger instead of through the eyes of love. And that's a problem, obviously, because you're not giving yourself an opportunity to experience anything else, something new, something better, because you're already prejudging your experience based on what happened in the past, which is no longer real. It's just, again, a story that you're telling yourself. Okay, alcoholism. Okay, well, let's touch about this. Obviously, I can't relate. I haven't had a issue with alcohol myself. I don't like to drink. It's always been something that I've been really averse to. But I have known quite a few alcoholics in my life and kind of observed them, so I can talk about this. A lot of the times they are stuck in the past, but they're stuck in the past, but they don't really want to face it at the same time. It's kind of this, how do I put this? Because the one thing that an alcoholic can't do is be honest. They may be carrying all this emotional weight and heaviness from the past, but they cannot, when they are confronted about it, be honest with you about what it really is. I found that again and again. Like, they'll give you little pieces of information, but they won't really get to the heart of what is troubling them, really, because that would mean that all of the shame would have to be dealt with. And alcohol it's one of those vices. It drowns you. You're drowning your emotions. You're letting them overtake you, but you're not really actually letting them be processed properly. So even when people become sober, when people become sober, they can not drink for years, but still have a lot of the same patterns, And there's this really good book that I'll recommend. There's a section in it about alcoholism that might be helpful for anyone struggling with that. It's called Games People Play, and I think it's by Eric Bernay. But I mean, if you look up Games People Play, this book should come up. It was a very groundbreaking work of psychology. But it talks about game theory, which is the fact, or it's this theory in psychology that all human beings, to some extent, especially adults in their lives, are carrying out certain games. And they view alcoholism through the lens of a game that's being played. A lot of with alcoholism, it's a desire to be rescued. A lot of it has to do with deep-seated childhood trauma, like a lot of, substance abuse issues, often unresolved trauma where one did not feel cared for, one did not feel rescued, one did not feel like you wanted someone to come in and save you, and it didn't happen. And so this manifests as an adult. And even again, if the alcoholic becomes sober, there are these games that are expected when you interact with an alcoholic around the self-pity and the need to be rescued from whatever scenario the alcoholic has put themselves in. Because, if it's not the substance of alcohol, they'll create some other issue in their life to need rescuing from. They'll have some other problem. And the other thing about alcoholism is the codependency in relationships. So, like, the relationship does not function unless the alcoholic is getting that need for validation of being out of control and needing someone strong to come and rescue them. And so it's very difficult. I've had a couple of relationships with people who were sober but had, stated that they'd had alcoholism or had trouble with alcohol, and that this was a very serious dynamic. And, I ain't here to rescue nobody, That ain't gonna happen, like, who am I to rescue anyone else? It's a big burden to place on a partner, but this can really be validating for some people to have that kind of relationship where they're needed. Some people really have a desire for that. So in those circumstances, the deep needed psychological need, in those people is met by the relationship with the alcoholic. They get to feel strong, protective, needed. And then the alcoholic gets to feel safe and rescued and secure, which was something that was lacking in, whatever traumas led to the development of this issue. Another thing with alcohol too is some people just can't handle it. They for whatever reason, it can be genetic, I think too. It can just be that the substance is so overpowering to them that it overtakes them. So I don't have a light view of alcohol. I don't drink very much myself. It's very rare that I, will enjoy a cocktail or something, like maybe once or twice a year. I'm really not into drinking culture because, a lot of people are struggling with alcohol abuse and drowning their emotions in alcohol. And you don't really know. You don't really know until you get to know someone. And so, because it is so socially acceptable to drink, to go out and have drinks regularly, this can provide a cover for a lot of people's problems. People who are struggling. And then of course being sober, A lot of things too, like you'll go out and you'll have, or you'll be at an event and alcohol will be being served. And if you decline to drink, there's peer pressure. I really cannot stand that kind of peer pressure, especially from adult people that should know better. But how many of you have been in like a circumstance where, you're at an event, alcohol is being served, you decline, and then someone comes up and is just, you know, pressuring you? Like, oh, why? Do you have a problem? Or they'll ask if you have a problem, which is, again, so inappropriate. Like, why are you person I only know on a like casual professional basis asking me if I have a problem with alcohol? Like, if I did, would I share that with you, you rude person? But it also is assuming that the only reason somebody may not want to drink is because of an addiction, which is, again, you may just not want to drink, or you may have, like, for me, I am very, I'm a lightweight, I don't drink much. And it hits me pretty quickly and hardly. And I don't like to be, I want to be somewhat in control of myself. So if I have one drink, then there's so much pressure to have more a lot of the times. Like, I can't tell you the number of times I've been out and I'll be like, no, I just want to have one drink. And then the pressure is on. People are just pressuring you. And then I give in. And then I'm more drunk than I wanted to be. And that's not pleasant. And then I got to face the consequences of it. And, I'm also very delicate physically. So it's not like alcohol really tears you up. That's the other thing about it. It really tears you up. Drinking is hard on the body. Very few people can handle it. Like, you have to be physically pretty strong to handle drinking a lot, and it will take its toll on you. It will dry you out. It will wear you out. So I'm always amazed that people become alcoholics. I'm like, how do you drink that much? Because for me, it whew, roughs me up. Anyway, Kitty, I hope I'm not. Back to your statements. It's hard to disconnect from it. Can't let go of the anger. You have to let go of the anger. It's like you're holding on to something that's hurting you when it would be better to just let it go so it stops hurting. What does the anger do for you? Does it give you an identity? Does it give you a sense of false safety? You think if you're angry, nothing bad is ever going to happen to you because you're on guard? It's false. Anger is very, it's one of the worst emotions, honestly. Obviously it comes up, and when it comes up, look at it, recognize it. But so many people, it's like their default. And a lot of the times too, it's fraudulent. Anger is a perfect cover for other emotions because it's so much more socially acceptable as well. Like, if you're angry or offended, if you want to puff yourself up that way with anger, a lot of it's about pride, because it's better to, be angry with someone than to be hurt by them, to be sad. We don't want people to see those kind of more vulnerable emotions. Anger is like false in a lot of ways because it makes you feel like less vulnerable. But you're just as vulnerable as you are with any other emotion. Any other emotion on display. Emotions and having them on display makes you vulnerable. Being in an emotional state, regardless of what the emotion is a state of vulnerability. You have to process it and get out of it. You have to be like, okay, this emotion came up. Why did it come up? I can let it go now. It came up for a reason, recognize the reason, but don't hold on to it. Don't identify with it. Don't let it consume you. You can't act rationally from that emotional place. You have to understand why the emotion came up and then move out of it, because if you don't, you're going to sabotage yourself and your life. And then you're going to be facing some more bad emotions, aren't you? And then you might be angry with someone, known as yourself, because there you were letting the emotions dictate how your life was going to go instead of you being in control. I mean, people who are emotional are out of control. They aren't thinking clearly. The times I've made the worst decisions in my life, I was not thinking clearly. I was in an emotional state. I was letting the bad feelings dictate how I act. I was wanting justice, and I was trying to make it happen for myself, which was foolish because justice is not my job, is it? Better to just let it go and feel bad about what's happened, but why let that ruin your life? Why let something bad that's happened make your life worse? Because that's what happens when we get stuck in that anger and start to make decisions from that place and, try to get justice for things. It's so many people are out here sabotaging their whole life, trying to seek vengeance. I saw a video yesterday of a man too, talking about how, forgiveness, he was saying the most ridiculous things about forgiveness, that it's unnatural, which whatever about that. Whether it's unnatural or not, it is necessary if you're to get on in life. You have to forgive. You can't be angry at people. You can't be holding on to that. It's just going to weigh you down. It's just baggage, and we talk about people having baggage. A lot of what people carry as baggage is their emotional states from the past that they will not let go of. They can't be in the present moment because they're carrying all these emotions from the past, which is not real. The past is not real. Where does it exist? When you're in the past, when you're thinking about the past, where is it? It's in your mind. So it's just a thought. Are your thoughts real? Are they, you have, how many thoughts run through your head every day? How many thoughts come to you? Are they real? Are they tangible? Are they what's in front of you that you have to do? Are they practical? So if you're carrying around this emotional baggage from the past and you're stuck with those emotions from the past, why are you carrying on to something that's not even real anymore? Why are you identifying with something that isn't even real? It's not in the present. It's not practically in front of you to be done. It's just, it's another form of choosing to live in hell when you could have peace. A lot of people don't understand that they create their own chaos, they create their own hell, they create their own unhappiness because of over identifying with what is past, what is no longer in front of them, what is no longer practical. They're holding on to those emotions from the past. They're looking backwards and feeling slighted. And they're carrying that into the present moment, which means the relationships they have suffer, their work they have to do suffers, and they suffer. And why are we choosing suffering when there's so much suffering that we will experience that we have no control over? It's really I want people to be free. I want people to be free of that suffering, unnecessary suffering. There's so much suffering. There's so much. But the fact is, a lot of people like identify with and love their suffering. They don't really recognize how much they love it. Whew. Anyway, moving on. Seth. That's difficult. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what to advise you. I mean, I will say, like, it could be financially good for you, but what does that matter if it's not something that's going to ultimately feed your soul? If it's something that's going to sap your soul, it's not worth it. I mean, I think you should be honest. Be like, I don't enjoy dealing with drunk people. I, you know, have struggled with alcohol and, have had a lot of I think you should just be perfectly honest, like lay it out. Like, I'm not comfortable with this because of these reasons. So please allow me to continue to serve in the capacity I am. Like, I understand why you think I would be good in this role, but however, like, I have some conflict with that. Kitty, anger gives me personality, I guess. It's probably more healthy to be boring. Why do you believe? Okay, because this is a belief you have. This is, again, not reality. Why do you believe that being healthy is boring? And this is, again, another lie people tell themselves. People that are healthy are a lot more busy. Life is not boring for those that are healthy. Okay, it's those that are stuck in anger and other emotional states that are idle and not going anywhere and living the truly boring lives. But people who get over their emotions can actually do more and be more practical and accomplish more in life. So how is that boring? What's boring about that? What's boring? I don't understand. Like, what is boring about stability and peace and tranquility and you know growth? Again, not to come for you specifically, because I don't think what you're saying here, I've heard a lot of people say, in many capacities, like they love their health and they don't want to get rid of it, because to get rid of it, they don't know who they would be, and they believe that they would lose all personality. But again, your feelings are not who you really are. Your feelings and your thoughts are just experiences you're having, but they aren't you. You have a personality outside of those things. And you can't really even see it until you get out of your emotions. You can't even really see what kind of person you actually are, because you're, again, stuck in that cloud, and it's dark in that cloud. The darkness, you can't really see in the darkness. So you're, again, identifying with something that isn't even really you. How can you even know? It's so funny because, like, when I was going through the very dark times, mentally, emotionally, I never felt seen. There were very few people that would see me, or they'd see part of me. But how could they really see me if I was in darkness? I was shrouded. Who I was shrouded. But nowadays, I have so many more people who I meet that actually recognize the real me. And when they talk to me and they, like, tell me things that they appreciate about me, it's all stuff that was always there, but was clouded by all of this other stuff. Maybe people would see parts of it, but they wouldn't see all of it. And just to be told things about myself, like I'll go over some things that I've been told in the past couple of years from people. They see that I'm genuine, that when I smile and when I'm happy, or, when I'm okay, good. All right. Well, that's fine, Can Kitty. I wish you luck, and I hope that you let go of your darkness, honey, because, it's not you. All right. It's never been you. Yeah. So back to like things, I gotten such genuine compliments. Hi, Dee Dee. You inspired me to come on today. Dee Dee I was in another live chat at Paul Pate's Sunday morning cartoon show. Is that what he calls it? He calls it something like that. And Dee Dee was there, and she's like, I haven't seen you on since your movie reviews. So I was like, well, let's try to get myself together and come on today. So I was talking about genuine compliments. So yeah, it was, I've had people tell me, you're really genuine. You really, have a good spirit. You really have a lot of care for others. Things like that. Or, you have a lot of grit and integrity, and just to have other people see those things in me and not have it shrouded by like, if only, you weren't so this or that or the other. And like, when you're in that darkness, nobody really knows you. They can't know the real you because, again, they can't see you. You're covering yourself. You're using those emotional states to really hide yourself. It's a form of veiling, we could talk about that. It's a form of casting a veil over your true self. And we have to break free. We have to break free and just shine our light in the world. That's what we're meant to do. We're meant to be the people that we are. We're not, and that means letting go of these over identifications with emotions that are just baggage. Once we let go of that, the real us comes forward, and we're able to use our gifts. And these things are gifts, little things are simple things about your personality. Maybe you're funny. That is a gift. Not everybody can make a person laugh, but to make a person laugh is a great treasure. Not everyone can, be diplomatic. That is a gift. Not everyone can listen. That is a gift. Not everyone is genuine in this world. Not everyone is, some people fake, I had somebody tell me, that he really appreciated when he had come back. He'd been away for a while because he'd been having cancer treatments, but he saw me smiling when I saw him. And that to him was just like such a genuine thing, because he's like, I can always tell when people are not genuine, but I saw that you were really genuinely happy for me and to see me. And it was like, it's such a little thing, but those things really matter. And when I was, over identified with my anger, with my sadness, with my sorrow, with my shame, it never occurred to me, like I wouldn't have been, maybe I would have given somebody a genuine smile, but it would never have hit me the same way that I was like, yeah, you know what? That is true about me. I would have just kind of, or I would have taken compliments and kind of been like wary of them because, I would have been guarded. But then I realized, a lot of the times people out here in this world are genuine and they recognize genuine, real recognizes real. And it's just so fabulous to be able to like hear something and just see that other people see you and they see things about you that are really truly special. Dee Dee, that is so nice. Thank you. I always look pretty. Thank you. I mean, I have been blessed. I'll say that. I think about that sometimes, Um, good genes. Good genes and also time, I take my time to put myself together and think about each day, who I'm, how I want to put myself forward, what kind of way I want to express myself. So thank you. Um, oh, I'm getting more compliments here. Your eyes sparkle more than outward too. Thank you. It's just the lights. No, they do sparkle. I mean, for brown eyes, they do sparkle quite a bit. I, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's, that too is a gift, being able to, like before, again, when I was shrouded in darkness, I still was a good looking young woman, but I did everything I could to like not show that. I wanted to hide that. So I didn't take any time with myself. I, purposely had I took this creation that I have been given, this body I've been given, and I just let it be unattractive, ugly, I don't want to say ugly. I was never ugly. Well, but I didn't respect the vessel I've been given. And beauty is a gift. It really is a gift. If you have traits that are like pretty or beautiful, that is something that makes the world a better place. It's something that's been given to you. And like, you I feel like you do have an obligation to put it forward and to share it with others and to use it to make other people's lives brighter. And it does. Like when I go about my day, looking nice, having a cute outfit, putting myself together, when people see me, it affects them positively. I was given a gift of the way I look, and I can use it to bring, again, more light in the world. It's just one little thing. But when I was in darkness, I didn't see it that way. I saw it as, either a burden, or I saw it as, something that was not really valuable, not really worth anything, not real. And that was very misguided. And it, again, a lot of it had to do with holding on to anger and sorrow and shame from the past, where, I didn't want to be seen for that. I didn't want to be seen as, all the things that I am. It's sometimes even hard to articulate, but yeah, let's get back to anger because this is about letting go of anger. I talked about the like burning sensation of anger and the way it causes inflammation in your body. Seriously, if you're dealing with any sort of inflammatory issues, you might want to look at your emotional state, because it doesn't it's not everything, but it's a lot. And anger is ravenous. It can lead to overeating. It can lead to, it definitely leads to, these emotional states that people are stuck in lead to all sorts of health problems. And when we talked about alcoholism, but another way people cover up is with food. They eat too much to numb out, or they like eat ravenously, gluttonously, trying to avoid certain emotional states. Or and these emotions are like demons that are just driving you to, because they are, I mean, they're spirits. These emotions that take over people, once it's taken over you, it's a spirit that is dwelling in your vessel. And your vessel is meant to be, you know, your vessel is meant to be occupied by the divine Holy Spirit. It really is. You're meant to be acting in accordance with that. You're meant to be living with that flowing through you. And how can it be if you let all these other spirits dwell and take over you? How can you be a light in the world? How can you lead? How can you in any way do anything of value, really? If you're possessed by a spirit of anger, if you're possessed by a spirit of shame, of sorrow, it will consume you. I mean, that's what it intends to do. It wants to keep you stuck. It wants to keep you from accomplishing anything good in the world. And that's what it will do. When you are possessed by a spirit, like anger, like sorrow, like shame, it will prevent you from moving forward. It will stop you in your tracks, and it will keep you stuck in life. It will keep you small. It will keep you so small. You will not expand. You will not grow. You cannot. And that's the thing too. Like, I think about it, like the years that I was so attached to anger specifically, like almost like 10 years passed where I really got stuck in anger. Like, I got stuck in this anger rut for almost 10 years, maybe like 8 or 9 years. It's more accurate. But when I came out of it, I realized, wow, I really haven't progressed much in life, have I? I really haven't grown. I'm still living the same way I had back then when it all started. Like, some circumstances around me had changed, yes, but I hadn't really progressed in any meaningful way. I was still very much lost, or not lost, but I was very much not moving on and forward in life. And that's the thing about these spirits, that we call emotions, that we come and invite to dwell in us. They will stop you from living your life, and growing, and doing the things, accomplishing things that matter, and that, you know, lead and give purpose and meaning to life. Yes, Dee Dee. And that's the other thing too. Like, it is by grace that I have been set free. I did a lot of work on my own. I really did. I did a lot of my own work, but it really wasn't until I like really sat down and got real about the fact that I needed more. Like, I needed not just to work on myself, because yeah, we can work on ourselves and we can really, you know, make a lot of progress, but that liberation, it really comes from salvation. It really comes from God. It doesn't come from anything else. when you really reconcile with God and you make peace with your creation, the fact that you've been created and you've been created in a specific way for a specific purpose, you let go of so much. It gives you this freedom to just drop everything you've been carrying. Because, they talk about being born again, right? And it's this, well, I don't know. I don't think they really understand it, but it's like you're letting go of who you were, of all your false identifications that existed in the world, to allow yourself to really emerge, to be born in the right spirit. That's the only way I can really describe it. You're allowing the right spirit in you to come forward. Finally, because you've been reconciled and you've let go of all of the identification with that which is worldly and all of those spirits that you allow to dwell in you. It's deep. It's deep. So you're washed and that stuff comes off of you. So if you are, if you are struggling to do it yourself, you can always go to God and ask to take the burden off of you, to let you really emerge. But you have to believe, you have to really believe. And for me too, a lot of the anger I was carrying, I carried all this anger from childhood with God specifically. Why was I made to suffer? Why did these bad things happen? Never once really recognizing that I too have been a bad person. I was so caught up in what happened to me that I hadn't even looked at myself and been like, yeah, but you are all these things. All these things that you don't like about other people exist in you. Have you not been this way? Have you not been that way? Have you not been this, that, or the other? Once I started to really reconcile with that, it really became apparent to me that, my rebelliousness, the rebellious spirit I had was not, it was with my unwillingness, my own kind of egoic unwillingness to, recognize my own faults and the fact that I created a lot of it, and it's them too, understanding that, because, this is the thing too about being a child and something, children have such wonderful faith, they really do. Their faith is so amazing. But, my faith was really shattered through my own sinful nature as a child. Once I started to commit sins, I felt it separated me from God, even though I knew, I didn't really understand the message of the Gospels, I guess, until I really became an adult. I understood the existence of God. I understood, I understood it to a certain extent. I understood all of it, but it wasn't until I became an adult and I really, really understood what sin was. I could understand it intellectually as a child, but until I really experienced it in myself and in the world, it didn't mean anything. And so I guess I feel it's just interesting to me to know that, to know that as a child, I had this faith and I thought I'd been born again, but like, no, I really needed to go out in the world and experience it to understand really the messages and the material of what I understood intellectually only. But anyway, I didn't know that I was going to get onto this. But I think, speaking about this spiritually, I mean, again, anger it's wicked. It is wicked. You cannot act out of anger. There is such a time and place for righteous anger, but it isn't the same anger that people are carrying around in them. You know, it isn't the anger that people display daily, and because of that, they can't even rationally like discuss things with other people. You know, I've noticed that as well. It's a big problem nowadays because, and this is part of why there's so much censorship and like control in so much of the discourse, you know, people being silenced, people being canceled or coerced and or compelled to use certain language. So much of that is is coming from a place of undealt with anger. And because the people having these conversations are angry, they can't handle anything that comes against their angry identification because again they're identifying with things that are of this world, which is temporal and not really who they are at all. But because of that, they've allowed this anger to come dwell in them, and they get angry on behalf of things that really have nothing to do with them. And you know, we can be not okay with what's going on, but even in that, we have to not let anger come and make a home in our bodies because it will just destroy us. And that's the purpose, you know, of all of this. Is the purpose of this spirit of anger is to destroy you. It isn't there to help you. It's not your friend. It's not your personality. It's nothing to do with you. It is outside of you, and you have given it a home within yourself. But if you let go of it, you let yourself be free of it, then you can begin to really see the true you emerge into this world. And the true you will surprise you because you may be a lot more lighthearted, carefree, and happy than you ever recognized. You know, a lot of people's nature is just to be happy, and they're often the saddest people. But if you recognize your own true nature and you let that come forward and be with you and in you, you may go through these storms in life. You may go through these times of, you know, harshness, darkness, setbacks, but you don't allow it to affect you, who you are. You don't let it impact your character any longer. And that's the thing about giving the spirit of anger a dwelling place in your body. You know, it comes to define you instead of you being you. Because anger, it's not a character trait, is it? And if it is a character trait, you know, it's not a nice one, is it? It isn't something that you really do want to identify with. You know, when you die, do you want people to sit around and be like, man, she was really angry? Or man, yeah, she really was a very sad person. Is that who you really are? Or is that a spirit that's dwelling in you that you've given home? And the only way I can like really say, you know, get rid of it because it will continue to tempt you, it will come for you, it will continue to try and make its home in you, it will come up for you. You just have to let it pass. You just have to observe it. That's all you can do. When it comes up, you just make note of it, but you don't identify with it. You are a human being that experiences anger, but you are not angry. You know? Or whatever the emotion is, whatever it may be. Well, I think I've pontificated enough today. So I want to thank those of you who showed up and watched and chatted with me. Dee Dee, Can Kitty, and Seth, I think. Anybody else watching, thank you as well. And I know it's been a while, but thank you again for being here and for watching on Catch Up if you are. And I look forward to, being on again. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a good rest of your day and that something I said here has been a little seed in your mind that will hopefully grow and help you to grow. All right. Bye. And thank you, Dee Dee. You too, okay? All right. Farewell. Oh, didn't press the button. There we go.